I just quickly, rather than hogging this, I'd just like to say, Marcus, you said something right at the very beginning. You said, I do not doubt that man landed on the moon. Is that correct? Correct. So, in fact, you are not advocating that man did not land on the moon, but merely saying that to try to make this a more aesthetically delightful, visual epic, some of the photography was hammed up in a studio somewhere.
The Apollo record was enhanced.
The Apollo record was enhanced, but you're not actually saying that they didn't land on the moon.
There is more than enough evidence that I'm persuaded by, specifically, as I say, the photographs of the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, which show the landers where they're supposed to be. I've checked the Apollo photographs overhead and compared them to Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter photographs of the same mission. The pattern of craters matches, the position matches. The only thing I do object to on it is that they are such poor quality photographs. They're abysmal. You've got to think that the height of this room, the width of this room, the lander, and all you see is a few blotches. In 1966, if I can get the photograph up here of the rolling rocks, they could photograph something better than that then. What's going on with this Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter that they can't get decent photographs?
What's the diameter of the rock?
25 feet.
Okay.
And 75 feet. There's two of them. There they are.
Right. But the lunar module is about 14 feet across.
Okay.
So it's lots more. These pictures are actually taken from Apollo 15.
Yep.
They were taken in the 1970s as the command module went round and round, and you can even see that the pictures taken 40 hours apart show there's the shadow, which is a lot shorter later on, and you can see where the soil has been disturbed. So that was back in 1970.
Both Apollo 15.
I'd just like to add as well, Jerry, to support this even further, is that I have ITEC images taken from the metric mapping camera on later missions, which actually showed the rover tracks. And I do forget right now which mission of a preceding one it was, but I've got those in my collection, which are the actual rover tracks which showed up in the metric mapping camera of a previous mission. So we were taking pictures of ourselves taking pictures way back then, but as Jerry said, you know, when you look at some of these, there is some ambiguity with regard to, and it would be great if we could get much better images. But we were taking images of those tracks back while these missions were still running.
Okay. Any more comments, questions? I think we'll take two more if we have two more.
Thank you very much. Marcus, on one hand, I'm so utterly impressed by the amount of time you've put into examining all of this evidence, because it takes a lot of work. On the other hand, it wouldn't have taken much more work to come and talk to the sort of people that are in this room tonight to get answers a long time ago to the questions you've still got. And the problem I have with that is that going out and communicating this sort of stuff without all the answers is very damaging, and it's a form of cultural vandalism, I think. I'm just somewhat disappointed by that, and just wondered what your reply is.
That's a very fair point, actually. I'm glad you raised it, because I don't often get asked that question, because I very seldom would address an audience such as we have here tonight, which is why, A, I was extremely nervous about coming here, and B, I put a lot of preparation into it. We only saw about half the pictures I've got, because I keep chattering on. Whether it's cultural vandalism, that depends on your viewpoint. Obviously, everybody here supports and believes everything, or virtually everything, that the Apollo program has reported. I choose not to believe everything I was told about it. Doesn't mean to say that I'm trying to find fault. Well, I am trying to find fault. I want to get an answer. If I can question it and then be proved wrong, and Dr. Baker has made a very good attempt at that tonight, and I thank him for that. If I can then start looking at it. Now, my day job is the publication of a magazine, as we were told at the beginning. It doesn't just deal, in fact, we've never published anything on Apollo. We publish things on other matters, specifically ancient history and health issues and a bit of politics and all the other weird stuff that goes on. There are a lot of people out there who like this weird stuff. There's a lot of subscribers. I happen to find it interesting. Now, it's not to... I've met Ed Mitchell. He was signing autographs at a place in the Midlands a few years back. And I had quite an interesting chat with him. I didn't come out with the ridiculous question, well, did you land on the moon, Mr. Mitchell, Dr. Mitchell? I wanted to know how he felt about it. I was going to meet Buzz Aldrin, but I wasn't prepared to pay what he was charging for his autograph, which is a fortune. Believe me, these guys make, it's all cash, no credit cards. They go home with $50,000, $60,000 in sterling. That's why they come over here. They're nice guys. They've devoted their life to it. To say that these people have been brainwashed in some ridiculous way is nonsense. That's the insult to them. What I want to try and do is to prove, A, to myself, and B, to a lot of other people. There are a lot of other people. When I've been talking about this subject for 20 years, thereabouts, when I first was advised, there's something strange about the Apollo record. I thought, come on, and that's where it all started. There's a lot of other people out there. What has helped tonight, especially, and I thank you very much for your interest and attention, and the fact that you didn't throw things at me, which you were perfectly entitled to do, because I may have made some comments which maybe you wouldn't have agreed with. But by being able to discuss it now, I can change my mind, because it is backed by unarguable science. That's why I say, you look at the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter photographs, bad as they are, that's not a criticism of them, but NASA has sent up something which they are now going to rely on, and I've got Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter website on my tab bar. I check it most days to see what new pictures. There aren't any new pictures. These are 2 years old, this lot. NASA like the publicity that comes with people discussing their activity. And that's what I do. I'm not trying to make them wrong, I'm just trying to get an answer. And there are so many anomalies within the whole Apollo record, which I've tried to show a few. There's a few more there's many more that are available. And at the end of the day, hopefully, we'll get the truth. And what Jerry has been able to show me as well is very interesting. It helps. All of this helps.
Can I ask a question? I'm interested as to why these questions came up when they did. It was roughly the 1990s, early 1990s, yes. 20 years after the lunar landings. I mean, why do you think that happened then? Why didn't it happen earlier?
The first mention I heard of the possible doubts about Apollo was actually an American. He was giving a talk, which I happened to listen to, and he almost in passing, he wasn't talking about Apollo, he wasn't talking about NASA even. He was talking about some photographs and some other evidence for certain ancient artifacts. He said, oh, of course, no, the Apollo record, well, you just have a look at that, you can tell the photographs are not real. And I thought, oh, well, come on, what's he on about? I've used the cameras and all the rest of it. And that's when I started. And whether I was right or whether I was wrong, obviously I know people who've also put a lot of time and work into it. I'm familiar with the work that they've done. There is a body of thought which does believe that nobody went to the moon. I don't happen to agree with that. I'm glad you make the point, you've asked the question, and I can publicly answer it, because I know when we first discussed this talk, and the original description I had for my talk was posted, there was quite a reaction.
Okay. I think what time for one last comment. Any takers? No? Sorry.
Yeah, I sometimes think there is no historical event so well established that somebody won't say it didn't happen. There are people who say the Titanic didn't sink. I have an entire book arguing precisely that. That Elvis Presley didn't die, that Diane Dodie didn't receive fatal injuries in that Paris underpass. And I remember thinking at the time of the Apollo flights, I wonder how long it will be before somebody says, it was all faked. Well, I didn't have long to wait.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to thank Marcus Allen for bravely coming along this evening and